My name is Veronica Floyd again, and I am obviously here with nonprofit Prince George's County to share my experience. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Can you guys see my screen okay? I know it's like,
Yes.
okay, let's see. How about now?
Yes.
Full screen?
Full screen.
Okay, perfect. Um, So my background is, as Tiffany mentioned, I started working with a nonprofit called Doorways for Women and Families that supported families who were experiencing homelessness as well as survivors of domestic and sexual assault. I worked in the development team for about 3 years, and then I transitioned over to volunteer management, and where I kind of managed about 100 volunteers with everything from hospital accompaniment when someone was assaulted and had to go to the hospital, to hotline services, staffing our shelters. We had a family home shelter that served families, and then we also had a shelter for domestic violence survivors. And so within my role there, I learned a lot about not only the the trauma that's involved with these families and these individuals, but the trauma that you can get from just volunteering and being present within those communities. And so managing volunteers who are so tightly woven within um, an experience that is difficult and hard, you kind of have to manage that with a different lens. And so um, obviously, empathy was a big piece of what I did, and that's really what I try to work with and develop as I'm going through life, as we know it right now. And so, currently, I am the community outreach manager for a credit union called Spectra Credit Union. I've been in this role for about 5 years, and it's kind of the opposite side of what I was doing at Doorways, where I work with nonprofits in our communities to support them via volunteerism. We give our employees about 40 hours to volunteer. And so I help manage their experiences and connect them with different opportunities within the DMV area. And I also work with the nonprofits with financial empowerment as well as some philanthropy efforts as well. And so Tiffany has kind of talked me up to having um, amazing experience, which I think I do have, but I'm also always learning. There's always something new to learn in these spaces. So I'm hoping that I can learn from you all from your experiences, but I'm also very excited to share this lens of corporate social responsibility and volunteerism within your workspaces. So, with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So we have here an agenda of just some of the topics we're going to cover. During today's Lunch and Learn, we will look at some strategies for building strong partnerships with businesses who incorporate corporate social responsibility within their mission. And then we'll look at the benefits of creating meaningful corporate volunteer experiences and demonstrate impact it can create through that involvement. Through real life examples, you'll discover how to align corporate social responsibility goals with your mission. Hopefully, you'll be able to walk away with practical tools to strengthen corporate engagement that will enhance your community impact and ultimately grow your volunteer base. And then we'll leave time for questions if there are any. Um, okay, so I want to touch on what corporate social responsibility is. It's also known as CSR. And so, according to the company IBM, corporate social responsibility is the idea that businesses should operate according to principles and policies that make a positive impact on society and the environment. Um, Today, we're seeing a lot of organizations kind of step away from ethics, DEI, corporate social responsibility. However, in my talks with some of the contacts that I have within businesses, it's only surface level. So it's only a way to showcase maybe they're connected to a government entity, or they might receive funding from a government entity. And in order to keep that funding, keep that building, they may have to, on the surface level, show that they're not being ethically driven or celebrating their diverse staff and their diverse community, but internally the work is still being done. So I don't want anyone to get discouraged about what's happening and what they're seeing, but hold on to faith that we still have some allies within these businesses that want to see their communities thrive, and they can thrive through volunteerism. So there are four different types of corporate social responsibility. There's environmental responsibility, which includes CSR efforts that aim to protect the natural resources through eco-friendly practices, such as, reducing energy consumption. There's ethical responsibility, which includes CSR initiatives that focus on social impact and human rights concerns, such as ensuring fair wages and safe working conditions. And there's economic responsibility that ensures that money is not a company's sole motivator. Just making sure that the decisions are aligned with values and supporting economic development, like job creation and growth. Then there's philanthropic responsibility, which we will be focusing on today. It includes CSR practices that involve donating money, resources, or time through volunteer work and sponsoring events. So now that we've gone through the main types of corporate social responsibility, I have a Slido question, which I would like to ask you all. So if you have your phone handy or if you're on a computer, you can go to slido.com and put in this code, and it should bring up a question for you. And I just want to get an idea of if your nonprofits incorporate corporate volunteers within its volunteer program. And I know a few of you have said that your organizations do. Let me know if you have any trouble logging in there.
And Veronica, the code is the number at the bottom, the 262-8830.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, unsure. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all so much. So we have about 20% saying yes, 20% saying no, and about, let's see, it's changing now. We have, okay, 22% yes, 44% no, and 33% unsure. And so being unsure is definitely okay. And saying no, that's definitely okay as well. Hopefully with some of these things I'll be discussing, you'll be able to have some tools to incorporate corporate volunteers. And those of you who've already established corporate volunteers, we can talk about ways to get that commitment going, and some practical tools that you can use to retain them. So thank you all so much for answering that question there. So this should be a good topic here for those of you who are unsure, who don't incorporate corporate volunteers. So I really want to talk about the benefits of corporate volunteerism. The main benefits we're going to discuss include expanded capacity. So corporate volunteers provide skilled and general support, helping nonprofits accomplish more with limited resources, which during this time, we're seeing a lot of nonprofits in our area struggle with resources because of the limited government funding. And so relying on corporate volunteers can really be a benefit to your organization. Then we have access to expertise. So professionals from various industry can offer those specialized skills such as marketing, IT, finance, which essentially enhances organizational effectiveness, and then also increased visibility. So, partnerships with well known companies can boost a nonprofit's credibility, also their public profile. And the next, stronger community networks, which we all need right now. Engaging employees can build connections to your mission with a wider audience and can lead to future partnerships or even those donations that we definitely need. And then potential funding opportunities. So, volunteerism often opens the door to financial support, as I just mentioned, from those corporate partners. In my work that I currently do, when we are solicited by a nonprofit, we first look at the ways in which our employees or our company can engage with the nonprofit. We look at if there are any volunteer opportunities or opportunities just to partner long term. So there's definitely potential funding opportunities with corporate volunteerism. So let's walk through each one of these. So, as a nonprofit, you can use volunteers to fill workforce gaps. As a nonprofit, you may at times operate again with limited resources and limited staff. Corporate volunteers can help by filling those large gaps. They can take on tasks that many staff may not have time to or even the expertise for, such as like event planning, logistics, content creation, or even data entry. An example of this is like a nonprofit planning a community event. They might use corporate volunteers to handle the registration, the setup, which allows for staff to focus on those more strategic coordinations. Then we have scaling programs and services with additional hands in mind. Nonprofits can expand programs or serve more beneficiaries without significantly increasing overhead costs. So, another example is a literacy nonprofit might train corporate volunteers to tutor students, which allows it to double the number of children without hiring more staff. Then we have operational support during those peak high times, such as, the holidays are really a high time for nonprofits to get in those hands. So corporate groups are especially valuable during those times, like, or even if you have like a fundraising season or annual campaign, they can provide temporary but essential help. So during holidays, or if you have a food drive going on, these are great opportunities for companies to get involved because it's kind of a one-off opportunity. So a company can send a dozen volunteers to help sort or pack boxes, helping nonprofits meet that seasonal demand. Then freeing up core staff for mission critical work, again, by taking over those time consuming or administrative tasks. Corporate volunteers allow nonprofit professionals to focus on strategic planning, partnership development, or impact measurement. And then leveraging professional skills. So, as I mentioned earlier, many companies have employees that bring specialized expertise, such as that legal, financial, marketing, IT, or HR skills that nonprofits may have a difficult time affording or they don't have it in-house. So an example of this is an IT team from a tech company might help a nonprofit improve its website or data management systems that can drastically increase efficiency. So in short, corporate volunteerism acts as a capacity multiplier, giving nonprofits the support they need to do more, reach further, and amplify their mission. So I have another Slido question for you all that I hope that you guys can see. I just added it. So it says, how do you currently use corporate volunteers for those who are working with corporate volunteers? I think we kind of already discussed that during the introductions, but if someone will be interested in sharing a little bit more, I would love to hear that. Someone is typing, 3, 5 are typing. So I'll give you a few, maybe till 12:36. And if you don't want to type, you can definitely just shout it out. I'm open, flexible as well. Okay. Someone says, I don't think we distinguish from regular volunteers. Okay, that makes sense. And maybe this is your opportunity to think about doing that. Um, Someone else is saying for large event cleanups, for summer camp preparation, event support, that's great. These are definitely great opportunities to get those corporate volunteers involved in your mission. Shabak uses corporate volunteers to assemble groceries for our community grocery giveaways. That's awesome. I love that. At my company, we love food drives and getting involved that way. It's very easy. It's very fun too. Thank you for sharing that. We ask for tangible donations for some of our programs. We engage with communities our volunteers are a part of. We attend their events for exposure. Nice. That's awesome. Program support from SMEs. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm glad that you're receiving some support, probably the professional support as well. That's what that sounds like. Um, Thank you all so much for legal advice. Okay, great. So it seems like you guys have a great way of incorporating corporate volunteers, whether it be for those hands-on experience or professional skills. Also, I want to highlight maybe when someone said tangible donation drives are definitely great to encourage corporate volunteers to get involved. It's a great kind of team building and competitive way. You can say, hey, the IT team is doing a drive for food donations. Can the marketing team versus the IT team, who can donate more and have a small prize for the team winner. So that's really great too. But thank you all so much for sharing. That's great. So we're going to move forward with access to expertise and leveraging those professional skills that we talked a little bit about. So pro bono consulting. So some companies offer their employees as pro bono consultants, providing strategic advice on operations, program design, or growth planning. This can be transformational for nonprofits looking to scale or pivot. An example of this is a corporate strategy team may need help may help a nonprofit evaluate a program outcomes and create a roadmap for expansion. Then we have technology and data expertise. So we know today's world is very digital. AI is taking over everything. And many nonprofits may struggle with tech systems and data management. So corporate volunteers from IT or data analytics teams can implement tools like those CRMs, cloud storage, dashboards, or automation workflows that can help nonprofits with their data issues. And volunteers from a tech firm, could help integrate, a CRM system like Salesforce for better donor management and reporting. Then we have training and capacity building. So, corporate experts can lead workshops or even training sessions for nonprofit staff, help building internal capacity in areas like cybersecurity, finance, communication. And a finance team might be able to train nonprofit staff on budgeting tools or financial forecasting techniques. So, that's really a great way to build your capacity. And then innovation and new perspectives. So professionals from different sectors often bring, fresh and new ideas. Their exposure to diverse tools, processes, and problem-solving strategies can inspire nonprofits to think differently, work smarter. Um, a website designer volunteering with a nonprofit might suggest redesigning your intake forms to improve user experience and engagement. Then we have networks and resources. So, beyond individual expertise, corporate volunteers, they often open doors to industry resources, tools, and other professional networks that nonprofits would not have access to on their own. So, a volunteer might be able to connect a nonprofit with free software licenses or business contacts or even speaking opportunities to further your mission. So, in essence, corporate volunteerism can act as kind of a brain trust for nonprofits, bringing in the knowledge, tools, and fresh insights that build long term strength and sustainability. So, corporate volunteers can also increase your visibility. We kind of talked a little bit about this earlier, but wanted to highlight some key points. So, amplification through corporate channels. So, when companies promote their volunteer efforts on social media or through their own newsletter, blogs, and internal communication, they often highlight the nonprofits they support. This exposes the nonprofit to new audiences, including the employees, potential donors, and other stakeholders. For example, a company can post photos of employees volunteering at the food bank on LinkedIn, tag the nonprofit, which leads to thousands of impressions and new followers for the organization. Then you have access to broader audiences. So, corporate volunteers act as ambassadors for the nonprofit. And when they share their volunteer experiences with friends, families, coworkers, they organically spread that awareness of the nonprofit's mission and work. And so, say for instance, an employee shares a story about volunteering at an animal shelter on Instagram. Again, tagging that nonprofit, prompting their network to learn more and get involved. Then there's co-branding opportunities. So, joint events, campaigns, or initiatives often include those co-branded materials. So, having your logo and the company's logo on those materials through banners, press releases, videos, or even those kind of swag items that you guys have, which help the nonprofit appear alongside an established and trusted company. Being associated with respected corporate brands builds nonprofits' credibility. The stakeholders often see these partnerships as endorsements, making them more likely to trust and support that nonprofit. So, an example of this is during a volunteer day, the nonprofit's logo appears on t shirts, media coverage, positioning them as a trusted community partner. Then you have media coverage and public relations. So, corporate volunteerism often garners local or industry media interest. Companies with PR resources may issue press releases or pitch stories to the media, putting the nonprofit in the spotlight. Again, a tech firm, for instance, and its nonprofit partner can be featured in a local business journal or newspaper for their joint effort to renovate a community center. And then you have digital footprint expansion. So, again, those mentions, tags, and backlinks from corporate websites and social media boosts, um, it can really help nonprofits, the search engine, the SEOs, and your digital presence. So, making them easier to find and making your mission easier to learn about online. So, for example, if you have a company that wants to do a volunteer day and the company promotes it on their blog, um, the nonprofit gains that surge in that web traffic because it's being posted online from that company. So, corporate volunteerism becomes a megaphone for nonprofit visibility, broadcasting their work through multiple channels and amplifying their reach, credibility, and influence in ways that would be hard to achieve alone. So now let's look at corporate volunteers and how it creates those stronger community networks. So expanding the nonprofit's community reach and corporate volunteers kind of bring their own social and professional circles. They often become passionate advocates who talk about nonprofit to each other, recommending it to their networks. They engage with nonprofits, they share their expertise, organically introducing it to organizations, to new individuals and groups, or they even join the board or fundraising committees. I know that I have done that in the past with some nonprofits that we've worked with, joining their corporate committees or joining their actual board to support them in additional ways. And then, for example, a volunteer can invite a coworker to the next event that you have and leading them to join, an alumni network or the local Rotary Club, excuse me. There's also cross-sector collaboration. So working with corporate teams engages nonprofits to engage more collaboratively across sectors. So again, the government, education, healthcare, media, technology, these all helps build those broad coalitions around shared community goals. And then, for example, a corporate volunteer day hosted at a nonprofit community garden that brings together city officials, local schools, and business sponsors, which can create a more connected and supportive network. Then we have listening posts within the community. So corporate volunteers can provide that real-time feedback and insight on how nonprofits are perceived in the community, helping them improve messaging, engagement, or service delivery. An example of this might be volunteers might mention a certain programs that aren't well known for so that people can get involved with your volunteer opportunities. This information that can inform the outreach strategies for the nonprofit so that they can engage more people. And then you have shared resources and community events. So, corporate partners often bring shared spaces, tools, and platforms like meeting venues, printing services, or those media connections that nonprofits can leverage to host events and, again, amplify that outreach. An example of this is a bank offering its downtown branch for a nonprofit's volunteer orientation or a fundraising event. It's inviting the public and other businesses to attend to expand that community outreach. Then building relationships with local businesses. So corporate volunteer programs often mark the beginning of a long-term partnership between nonprofits and the local companies. So these relationships go beyond volunteering. They can evolve into sponsorships, in-kind donations, or even collaborations. So, an example of this is a company that starts volunteering once a year may eventually sponsor the nonprofit's annual gala or donate office equipment or just meet the need of a nonprofit when there is an unexpected event happening. So in summary, corporate volunteerism doesn't just provide people power, it opens the door. It weaves nonprofits more deeply into the fabric of their communities, connecting them with people, partnerships, and possibilities that fuel that long-term growth and impact that we're all looking for. Then we have funding opportunities. So, another way corporate volunteers benefit nonprofits is through those funding opportunities, those pathways to corporate giving. Volunteer programs often serve, again, as that entry point for financial support. So once a company sees the impact of their employees' efforts and builds trust with that nonprofit, they're more likely to offer direct funding through grants, sponsorships, or donations. A company that regularly sends employees might later sponsor the nonprofit's annual campaign or provide a capacity building grant to that nonprofit. You have access to the CSR budget. So many companies allocate a portion of their corporate social responsibility budget for community engagement. So if a nonprofit demonstrates a strong volunteer experiences and community impact, it becomes a natural candidate for that funding. Companies are looking for niche markets to focus on through funding. It's a marketing tool for them. It brings brand awareness. They want to be an asset to the community. And so getting in with companies that have a CSR budget is really key to that corporate giving. Um, Again, there's access to employee initiated giving. So, volunteers who have meaningful experiences, they often become individual donors themselves, or they advocate for their company to support the nonprofit financially. So, an example is an employee who, say, volunteers for a housing nonprofit. I'm sure that the work that they're doing, they're seeing firsthand how resources are allocated, and that can inspire them to convince their team to select it as a recipient of a company's employee giving match program. Um, and then as a nonprofit, you have stronger grant proposal and sponsorship packages. So the ability to showcase the active corporate engagement within your nonprofit makes your nonprofit more appealing to other funders, especially family foundations, and sponsors that value cross-sector collaboration and visibility. They want to see that you have some skin in the game when it comes to the funding, not only from yourselves, but also from the local businesses that your nonprofit is in. Then the CSR can bring co-funded or matched campaigns. So companies may offer matching gift programs or co-sponsor fundraising events that boost total contribution and donor engagement. For example, a tech firm pledges to match all individuals' donations up to $25,000 during a nonprofit's Giving Tuesday campaign. That can double impact. In Alexandria, we just had a giving campaign called Spring to Action, where all nonprofits um, get on a platform where they fundraise for support, and it's similar to our own Giving Tuesday. And companies are able to match. Companies are not only able to match gifts, but they're also able to have their own webpage to sponsor a nonprofit of their choice. So look at these opportunities in your local areas to reach that corporate giving, and also bring awareness to your mission. And then corporate volunteers can bring sustained engagement, which equals, again, long-term investment. So consistent volunteer involvement often leads to multi-year relationships that grow from time to time. They grow to donations, to financial investments. So in summary, corporate volunteerism is, again, often that first handshake that leads to deeper financial support. It builds trust, showcases the nonprofit's value, and creates personal connections that open doors to grants, sponsorships, donor matches, and long-term funding relationships. So I have, I believe, another Slido question here. Yeah, so if you guys want to go on Slido again and answer the question that I have here, which states, which benefit has your nonprofit experienced, if any at all? I'm curious. And I'll give you about a second or two. All the above. Wonderful. Potential funding opportunities. That's great. Increased visibility. Wonderful. Does anyone feel comfortable in sharing why, how, in which way they have benefited with a nonprofit? I mean, with a company? Does,
I can actually share, Veronica. This is
yeah.
Tiffany. So I selected all of the above. And so we have really worked in partnership, even with like Care First. They're a great partner for us. Um, so sometimes they will ask you to come in. They've asked if we had opportunity for them to have corporate volunteers to come in and offer their expertise. And we did it virtually. So we met with a group and we shared with them what some of our gaps were, and
Mhm.
so that group of expertise, they went through all of our our technology resources, and they told us what was working and what didn't work. But it has stemmed into further,
Mm,
like so many more opportunities. So they will, from that, they funded us for capacity, or they will tell us about, they just told us about a grant that they were releasing this week on maternal wellness for $1.4 million, and they want feedback for
mm,
who in the county is doing some work because they sent the money to the community foundation, but they want to know who in the county is doing this work. But
mm,
there's lots of different pieces. I mean, even to down to they opened a finance park here in the county, and they ask if they include my son in their ribbon cutting with their CEO, and so now he's a part of their video, their
yeah.
company-wide video, and so, they will see me and they're like, "You're the mom of," and so I'm not, but by allowing that and building those relationships, then now they're able to talk more about nonprofit Prince George's County, which is about highlighting and bringing more awareness to what
Mm,
nonprofits in this county that are based in this county and serving this county are doing.
mm,
So it's definitely a long game. It is ongoing. It is not a one time, but it definitely has served a great purpose, and even to the point where they're talking about, "Hey, can you let us know what are some other areas that we need to invest in?" Since
mm,
there is, like you said, the shift of removing from the face DEI, but they're absolutely saying, "How can we do more place-based investment in an
yeah.
initiative in the county?" So, all of the above.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. And thank you for sharing because it's very important to, again, mention that this is not a one and done type initiative. When you're working with companies, they also don't want it to be one and done. They want to see that longevity and knowing that their donations, their time, their commitment is going to make a lasting impact for community, and it takes it takes going forward but also maybe taking steps back, which we all know progress isn't linear, and so having an organization that's empathetic and that's going to stick with you through those ups and downs and have those candid conversations is imperative to growing your mission. And so I love that story. Thank you, son. I'm so glad that Benny had a chance to be in the video. I have to see that. I have to see that. Um, but okay, but thank you all so much for sharing. And I'm very happy that it looks like everyone has benefited in some capacity. I haven't seen expanded capacity. So I'm hoping that um, through this conversation we can help you get there. So let's keep moving forward. Now we're going to discuss some strategies for both attracting and retaining corporate volunteers, which are crucial for building sustainable partnerships between nonprofit and businesses. So, with attracting corporate volunteers, again, you want to align with those corporate social responsibility goals. So, as I mentioned earlier, those goals might not be front facing. So you kind of have to do a digger deep and you have to get in front of actual people to understand what a company's goals are, what their mission and values are, and what do they want to invest in. You want to tailor, once you learn that information, you want to tailor your volunteer opportunities to show how your work supports their impact goals. um, and then you want to kind of look at offer skill-based volunteer roles. So go beyond those general tasks. You want to design opportunities that allow employees to use their professional skills, those marketing, finance, IT skills. This makes the experience more meaningful and attractive to both the employee and the employer. An example of this, say, you can offer a pro bono project where companies' HR teams, they can help revamp your volunteer onboarding process. So that's an example of that. Then you want to promote group opportunities. So design volunteer experiences that can accommodate teams. You want to emphasize camaraderie and team building. This appeals to companies looking for an employee engagement experience. I can say right now within my workforce, morale is down. Morale is down, people are nervous. And so HR is looking for ways to boost morale, and volunteering is a great way to do that. Now is the time to get in the doors with these companies that are seeing their employees a little more stressed out than usual. Um, so you also want to use corporate channels to reach employees. So leverage platforms like LinkedIn, Benevity, Your Cause, some internal CSR portals to list opportunities, and work with the company's volunteer coordinator or again, those HR teams to promote your programs internally. And then you want to build a strong employer pitch. So that includes presenting a clear case that shows mutual value of partnering, showing that community impact, brand visibility, and employee satisfaction. You want to include stats, testimonials, and potential media exposure to help businesses see the rate of return of their involvement. And then we want to look at retaining corporate volunteers. So, create meaningful volunteer experiences. You want to design activities where volunteers see their impact, whether through stories, photos, or measurable results. And avoid having them do busy work. You want to let them feel like they're making a real difference. Acknowledge and celebrate contributions. So obviously say thank you, but say it publicly and personally. Use social media shout outs, write handwritten notes, or branded thank you gifts are a great way to acknowledge them. Recognize teams in your newsletters or your annual reports. Highlight a volunteer of the month and tag their company on social media. You want to offer follow up and continued engagement. So don't let it be a one and done opportunity. You invite those volunteers back, offer leadership roles, suggest new ways to get involved, and provide options for ongoing projects that include ways for them to use additional skills that they may have. And then be flexible and responsive. You want to adapt to different team sizes. There might be some time constraints, there might be hybrid work models. So you want to offer not only in person, but remote and virtual volunteers as well, if it's possible within your framework. I want to highlight, I know someone mentioned that this time is difficult for commitment. And so I want to highlight that retaining is very difficult right now. People have a lot going on, but reframe your volunteering as a way for them to want to commit because it's not only best for the community's well-being, but for their well-being themselves. Volunteering is a wellness tool, right? So it's a morale booster. It helps your mental health. It's a team building outlet. You're able to network when you volunteer. These are ways to retain those volunteers in a way that not only are you supporting community, but you're also being supported as well. And so I hope that that kind of helps as well. And we can definitely talk more about that. Um, so let's kind of walk through this, just checking on time. Um, but let's kind of talk through these. So align with corporate social responsibility. Why does alignment matter? I want to say corporations definitely have specific CSR priorities. It can be sustainability, education, health equity, community development. Um, but we want you to mirror your mission in a way that kind of mirrors the company's CSR missions as well. When you do that, employees are more likely to get involved. The company is more likely to fund your mission. And again, you create those long-term partnerships. I want to say you want to mirror, but you don't want to stray further or further away from your mission as well. keep true to the type of work that you're doing and keep true to your clients. But if there are ways for you to tweak your outlook or tweak your mission to align with companies, that's a great way to get them involved. So you want to research the company's CSR focus, um, focus on companies that if you are an environmental organization, look for companies that focus on natural environments. Consider that they may consider climate change and greenhouse emissions. Does your nonprofit recycle? Highlight that in your pitch to them. You want to match mission and language. So use the company's own terminology when describing your programs. Frame your impact in ways that speak directly to their values. So instead of just saying, we work with under-resourced schools, you can say something like, we advanced educational equity by providing enrichment opportunities in underserved communities, aligning with your goal of inclusive youth development. So use those words, use those languages to match your mission with theirs. And then customize volunteer opportunities. So design activities that directly support a company's CSR themes and offer meaningful, relevant engagement for their employees. For example, a law firm might focus on justice reform. They might appreciate a volunteer opportunity involving a nonprofit's legal aid. I think we have a nonprofit online that works with the courts. So that might be a way for you to get some volunteers that way. And then demonstrate shared impact. So prepare materials that show how the company's support translates into real world change. You want to use metrics in storytelling. So saying things like your team of 10 volunteers mentored 30 students over 6 weeks, helping improve school attendance by 20%. Um, you want to use co-branding and storytelling opportunities. So companies want to show the impact of their CSR efforts. As I mentioned earlier, CSR is usually within the marketing department. And so it's all about that brand awareness for them. And so you want to make sure that you're able to allow them to share stories, co-create content through blogs, social media, and you want to celebrate jointly to impact, to show the impact publicly. Also staying flexible to company culture. We know that different companies have different engagement styles. So some want a quick event that's done in a day or done in a half day. Others prefer more of that long-term engagement through skill-based volunteering. You want to be flexible to allow them to do both. So I wanted to highlight this in alignment in action. On the right, you see um, an organization called Chesapeake Climate Action Network. And they have a page through Patagonia Action Works. And I don't know if you guys have heard of Patagonia, but Patagonia is an American outdoor apparel company, and they're known for its high quality clothing and gear, particularly for outdoor activities like hiking, camping, and surfing. And is also renowned for its strong commitment to environmental sustainability and activism. And on Patagonia's website, they state, at Patagonia, I quote, we appreciate that all life is under threat of extinction. And we're using the resources we have, our businesses, our investments, our voices, and our imagination to do something about it. And so they are really living out this focus. And they have created a platform called Patagonia Action Works, which is a digital platform launched by Patagonia to connect individuals with grassroots environmental organizations, facilitating direct involvement in environmental activism. So, this particular company shown here, again, is the Chesapeake Climate Action Network. Their actual local, they're located in Tacoma Park, Maryland. And their mission statement says, "We are the first grassroots nonprofit organization dedicated exclusively to fighting global warming in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. Our mission is to build and mobilize a powerful grassroots movement in this unique region that surrounds our nation's capital to call for state, national, and international policies that will put us on the path to climate stability." So, as you can see, they have aligned their mission with the CSR mission and focus of Patagonia in such a way that allows Patagonia to include their mission in their platform, Patagonia Action Works, that enables users to find and engage and participate with events like the walk. Um, they just had a walk on April 27th, and um, and called 5K for the Planet, which was posted on this platform. They take actions like they have petitions that folks can sign, they have volunteer opportunities. So if your nonprofit is involved in any way with environmental sustainability, climate change, check out Patagonia Action Works because I think it's very cool on what they're doing there. So just wanted to highlight that. Then next we have offering skill-based volunteer roles. So offering skill-based volunteer roles is one of the most effective ways nonprofits can use to attract corporate volunteers, especially professionals who want to contribute in a way that aligns with their expertise and create lasting impact. So these are opportunities where volunteers use their professional skills like marketing, IT, finance, legal, design, HR, you name it, it's there. Excuse me. And they use those skills to help nonprofits solve specific challenges or build capacity. So nonprofits can offer skill-based roles. If you first want to assess your organizational needs, so start by identifying gaps where outside expertise could help you grow. I think Tiffany mentioned that's kind of what they did with Care First. And so that's one way that that's the first step in using those skills from volunteers. Ask yourself, do you need help with budgeting, digital marketing, HR policies, or even like Salesforce CRM implementation? And then, are you preparing for a strategic plan or launching a new initiative? You can use volunteers to use their skills to help you with that. You can create a wish list of roles and projects that you can use support with, and just start there. Then you want to package roles into clear time-bound projects. So define the scope, objectives, and time commitments of each role. Keep projects manageable to attract busy professionals. You can say something like, help us redesign our donor welcome email series over 4 weeks for 2 to 4 hours per week. And then you'll be working with our development director and communications team. You want to be really specific. Then create skill-based volunteer listings. So write specific, appealing role descriptions, like just like a job posting. So include the goal of the project, required skills, time commitment, who they'll be collaborating with, and what impact their work will have. Then use the right platforms to promote opportunities. On the right here, I listed some platforms that were new to me. I've never heard of them, but I wanted to share them with you all as a way for you to tailor some of your pro bono service needs. The Taproot Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that engages design, marketing, IT, strategic management, and human resources professionals in pro bono service projects to build the infrastructure of other nonprofit organizations. So, if you are in need of some of those skill-based volunteer support, check out Taproot Foundation. Also, Catch a Fire is an organization which makes skill-based connections between professional volunteers and other nonprofits. Essentially, Catch a Fire matches professionals who want to donate their time with nonprofits who need their skills. Other or websites I have learned about are Volunteer Match, LinkedIn Volunteer Marketplace. So LinkedIn has their own volunteer website as well. You can also use your website plus the corporate partner channels as another way to get your volunteer opportunities to professionals. Then you want to collaborate again with the CSR or HR team, work directly with those companies to identify employees who want to take on a leadership role, apply for internal volunteer stakeholders, or join nonprofit boards or advisory boards. There are definitely those individuals within companies, so you can talk directly with the teams in there to find out who wants to be involved more. And then showcase the impact. Again, track and share the outcomes of skill-based work, both for the volunteer and the organization. This encourages repeat engagement and makes it easier to attract future volunteers.
Veronica,
Yes.
I wanted to share very quickly that Catch a Fire is a tool that we offer to our members at no cost. So it is a cost associated with it, but we offer it and we're actually offering it through the end of this fiscal year. And so I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to say that we have total, like in terms of the number of dollars that we have saved, it's been over $600,000 that we have saved for nonprofit members, and we don't have a lot of our members who utilize it, but from them getting volunteers to work on a wide array of projects. So that's something we offer specifically to our nonprofit members.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I love that, Tiffany. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's incredible that you guys are offering that as a free service to your partners. I think it was my first time in doing some research. It was my first time hearing about Catch a Fire. And I really love that. I'm gonna mention it to the other nonprofits in my network to look out for because I think it's a great tool. You know, again, a lot of nonprofits are under resourced and don't have those particular skills. So having that as a resource and getting that engagement there is pretty awesome. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to talk to you more about that because I want to learn more. um, Okay, perfect. So next we have attracting through promoting group opportunities. So promoting group opportunities again is a smart way for nonprofits to attract those corporate partners and engage employees in a meaningful team-based service. They offer companies team building, impact, and visibility all wrapped up in one experience. So you want to design group-friendly volunteer activities, projects that you can do again in one day or half a day that can accommodate a wide variety of people. So it can accommodate 55 people or can it accommodate 50 people? You want to again have a clear start to finish, produce visible or measurable impacts. An example of this can be, assembling kits, pack up, cleaning up a park or a school, sorting food donations, things like that that are great for group activities. Then brand it as a team experience. So use language that appeals to group culture, like Team Volunteering Day, Corporate Day of Service, Give Back Together. You want to make it sound fun and also sounding like it's going to make an impact as well. So next we have creating a corporate volunteer day package. So some organizations create a one-pager that has information about the group activities, the group size limits, logistics, what the team will accomplish, photos or testimonials from past events. You want to make it easy for a company to say yes. Then promote it through the right channels. So, share group opportunities on your website and social media. You want to reach out to those CSR managers or even employee resource groups. Attend community volunteer fairs or community days. And then also list your opportunities on platforms like Benevity, Your Cause, Volunteer Match, or some of the local platforms that are available to you as well. And then offer customization options. So let companies know that you can tailor their experience. So if they have a team size that's not within the realm of your group, be flexible in offering more options for them to participate. Um, then celebrate and share their impact. So again, send thank you notes, share the results on social media, and include those stats. How many bags did they pack for how many families? This strengthens the relationship and encourages future involvement. On the right side, I have kind of a sample elevator pitch from Food and Friends. It's an organization that I have volunteered with many times before. They're located in DC. It's an organization that provides home delivered, medically tailored meals and groceries to community members that are living with cancer, HIV, AIDS, and other serious illnesses. And they offer really fun and engaging group volunteer activities. And this statement is on their website. You can read it, but it says we rely on volunteer groups to help prepare and package meals in the kitchen and deliver meals to our clients' doors. We would love to host your school, corporate, social, or faith group at Food and Friends for a great day of team building while serving our neighbors. Food and Friends will provide full orientation upon arrival to ensure a successful day for your group. So companies are always looking for ways to strengthen relationships and morale among their employees, as I mentioned before. And I think Food and Friends does a really great job of promoting volunteering as a group. Um, as I mentioned, I volunteered there before, and it was definitely a shared, feel good experience that definitely builds teamwork and collaboration. So this is just a simple that you can easily implement within your website or within your elevator pitch as you're out in community reaching out to companies. So next, talking about those corporate channels. Corporate channels are powerful and often underutilized strategy for nonprofits to reach and engage, recruit corporate volunteers. Instead of waiting for volunteers to find you, you want to bring your message directly into the internal ecosystems where employees spend their time and make decisions about volunteering. Again, list your opportunities on those CSR volunteer platforms. Collaborate with CSR or HR managers. You want to build a relationship with key contacts responsible for employee engagement. You want to partner with the employee resource groups. At my company, we have a young professionals group, and we're always looking for volunteer opportunities to involve our young professionals at the office. So attend even chamber events to get connected to businesses or the right person at a company that you want to get involved with. You can also use the company's newsletters or intranet posts. Um, you can say uh, you can make a difference in just 2 hours. Again, being concise and straight to the point when it comes down to introducing your volunteer opportunity to these companies. You want to enable social sharing on corporate LinkedIn pages. And I just wanted to share on the right hand side, we have our LinkedIn page at Spectral Credit Union. We post a lot about the volunteer work that we do. And this is one of them. My colleague, her name is Crystal, and Crystal loves to volunteer. She's doing a a grocery delivery at a company, an organization called Alive that supports seniors living in a high-rise apartment complex near our office, and we were able to post it on LinkedIn. We were able to tag them and showcase the work that we're doing. We have on our branded gear, but we also are making sure that we're tagging the nonprofit. So I just wanted to highlight that as an easy way for the nonprofit to get exposure while also the company is getting that recognition as well. And then leverage peer influence with employee champions. You want to identify and nurture the employee champions that are really championing your mission and being ambassadors to your mission. So provide that person with talking points, digital flyers, or email templates. Encourage them to promote your nonprofit internally or even lead a volunteer event. Um, this is definitely a key way that you can get your mission out to the employees within a company. And so the last portion of attracting is creating a stronger employee pitch. I'm sorry, employer pitch. I want to say that this is really the key to getting companies excited about supporting your nonprofit through corporate volunteerism. The goal is to show why your organization is a great match for their CSR goals, their employee strategies, and their brand values. So you want to first talk about mission match. Again, show how your cause aligns with the company's CSR goals and industry values. You want that employee engagement value. So highlight how volunteering with your organization builds morale and team cohesion. You want it to be very easy to execute because companies are busy. Show how easy it is to get involved with your organization. Have those skill-based volunteer roles, virtual and hybrid options, and again, make it customizable for their teams. Then impact and recognition, making it clear that they'll be able to see and share their impact, the number of people helped, results from the specific initiative, and testimonials are, of course, essential as well.
Veronica, I
Yeah.
wanted to interject for one moment, and I wanted to let everyone know, I know we are at 1:30. If you have questions and we're unable to get them answered, please put them in the chat, and I can promise you that I will be following up with Veronica, and we can get the answers, and we'll get them back over to you. So I wanted to just do a quick mention for those folks if they have to leave, but I'm turning it back over to you, Veronica. I just wanted to let folks know that we'll get their questions answered if they have some.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I do apologize for going over. I just have a few more slides.
Great information. Thank you.
Um, I wanted to make sure that I noted that you want to position yourself, not asking for help, but offering a strategic solution for employees' engagement and social impact. So you just don't want to say, "Can you volunteer with us?" You want to say, "Here's how we can help your company do good and build stronger teams." Remember, you're offering meaningful employee engagement solutions that align with their business objectives. So, wanted to highlight that in your efforts of building a strong employer pitch. Then really quick, wanting to look at retaining those corporate volunteers. We want to connect to the work to the mission. Again, we talked about that. Make it hands-on and engaging. So making sure that the activity is not repetitive, but more collaborative. Offer that sense of completion. Allow for creativity and decision making when possible. Again, leveraging those professional skills, encouraging group connections. So, um, allow the teams to work in pairs or small groups. Also, if there are different types of teams, if there's people from IT or marketing or HR, separate those teams. So have a one person from each team on one team so that they can get to know one another. Because I know at my company, we sometimes always stick within our teams, and it's nice to get connected with different team members at volunteer events. You get to know one another a little bit more better. Um, you want to show impact. So before, during, and after. I have here on the right hand side just a way that you can showcase a volunteer journey, provide that welcoming email with mission. During, you want to have that warm welcome, a group intro, connection to the impact, and after, provide a thank you email. You want volunteers to feel like it was worth their time, that they made a real difference. So that's a kind of a layout that you can use. Then let volunteers hear from your beneficiaries. It's not always easy to have a client on site, but you can invite a client or someone from the program to speak. You can share a video that you may have of their story, or you can read a letter aloud from someone that you've helped, and how the work that the volunteers are doing directly impacts the lives of other folks. You want to bring in that emotional response and a lasting memory to that experience. And then recognize and appreciate, again, a sincere thank you, whether it be verbal or written, small tokens of appreciation, like any branded swag you may have, group photos that they can share on social media. Again, that's key. Then offer clear next steps, making sure that they are provided with easy ways to come back and volunteer again. Mention your donation and advocacy opportunities, and then add them to your mailing list as well so that they can be notified when other opportunities arise. Then I wanted to touch base on acknowledging and celebrating the contributions of your volunteers. So you want to genuinely make them feel appreciated and valued. There are four kind of psychological drivers behind recognition. That's belonging, purpose, social proof, and reciprocity. And these kind of avenues bring in all four of those things. So you want to start with personalized thank yous. Don't Try not to send a general one. You want to make sure that volunteer individually feels appreciated. Social media shout outs again are great. Certificates and swag are another fun and nice way to thank volunteers. In my experience, some volunteers don't really want any swag items. They want you to spend your money on the direct client or the direct service, and not really on them. And so some don't really take too well to swag items, but I do think it's nice to have on hand, even if it's just like a pen. Then you want to nominate for awards or create your own. On the right-hand side, you see a flyer from an event I attended this week. I'm on the board of Volunteer Alexandria, and we hosted our annual volunteer award ceremony where nonprofits had the opportunity to nominate volunteer individuals, groups, and youth to receive awards and recognition from the work that they have done throughout the year. We had over 100 guests in attendance. Families were there, volunteers, businesses, and politicians. So if you have many volunteers, you can host your own event, or you can find a local one to celebrate and give businesses and volunteers a moment in the spotlight for contributing to your mission. Then follow up with future opportunities. After thanking them, you want again invite them back. This communicates that they're not just a one and done. That they need you need their continued support. Um, okay, then lastly, you want to offer follow up and continued engagement, as I mentioned. Um, Again, sending a warm, personalized follow up. Um, you want to offer a clear path to what's next. So don't assume that there are no how to stay involved, share that calendar of future opportunities, mention again additional skills that's needed to support your mission so that they can get involved differently. You want to educate and inspire through storytelling, update them on programs that they have helped with, include behind the scenes content or volunteer highlights, and you can deliver this through email, social media, or custom corporate newsletters. And then involve the company's CSR HR team leads to create different future events. Give input on what the employee wants. You want to hear from them on how the employees feel about their experience volunteering. Again, asking for that feedback and different ideas. You can send a survey or host a feedback call or virtual focus group. You can offer tiered engagement opportunities. So, join their volunteer advisory group, attend an event for a fundraiser. Again, becoming a volunteer ambassador is really key to getting that engagement going long term. And then again, recognizing repeat volunteers, sending special gifts, feature them in your newsletter. Recognition builds loyalty and pride, and that keeps that momentum going. I think I said that was the last one, but this is the last one. You want to be flexible and responsive. It's the most underrated, but yet a powerful ways nonprofit can retain corporate volunteers. We know priority shifts, schedules get packed, decisions can change with little notice. But when nonprofits can adapt with grace and meet volunteers where they are, you kind of build a reputation of being a great partner. So you want to make sure that you're offering multiple dates, times, and formats. Adjust the group size and roles when needed. Again, sometimes the group size changes. Some person might show up, or an additional person might show up to the group event. Be empathetic. Welcome each person with grace and appreciation. You want to customize the experience to fit their needs. So let them choose the different project types. If you have many different types, let them choose. Adjust the tone of when you're speaking with or when you're emailing folks at companies. Be fun, social, always mission focused and reflective. Um, be willing to rework your plans. Again, rescheduling, be empathetic if priorities shift. You want to respond quickly and clearly, though. Time, as we all know, is money in the corporate world, and quick and clear communications equals professionalism. So reply within 24 to 48 hours, confirm plans early in writing so that you have something concrete to move forward with. Listen and act on feedback. After an event, you can ask what went well, what could be improved, then actually use that feedback to improve and tailor your future experiences. Then stay ahead of the curve. Again, don't wait for the company to reach out next time. You want to keep that ball rolling. So again, reach out first. Reach out during those planning sessions. So Q4, usually the end of the year, is when folks are creating those budgets, creating those volunteer opportunities, those niche areas they want to serve for the upcoming year. So Q4 is a great time to connect with those companies. Um, and I believe that is it. So here are some takeaways for you to remember on what we discussed today. Again, thank you all so much for this time. Again, if you have questions, I'm sorry that I went over, but if you have questions, Tiffany will reach out to me and we can move forward with getting those answered for you. But thank you all so much.
Thank you, Veronica. I want to say, and again, I know we've run over. I want to say she comes every year. She brings new information every time. And we know that the times that we're in are very challenging and daunting. And so, Veronica, thank you for taking your time out of what you're doing to share and spend time with us. I know there are a few questions in the chat. We will get those questions over to you and we will get it back out to all of our attendees. Thank you for joining. Please take care of yourself in the interim, and look for some way to find a little bit of joy in your day. Make space and create space because we know we're navigating challenging times and we can only do this well together. So thank you, and we will be in touch. And Veronica, hugs to you.
Yes, love you. Thank you.
Thank you.